Good morning. Have a good day. Today, I want to talk about the importance of recognizing your worth, embracing your power, and refusing to accept anything less than what you truly deserve. You see, society has often tried to tell us that we need to behave a certain way, that we need to fit into a mold, or that our worth is measured by the approval of others. But the truth is, our worth is inherent. It's built within us, and we have the right to demand respect, love, and fairness without compromise. Here are 5 things women should never do, not because the world tells us not to, but because we deserve so much more. First, never dim your light. The world may tell you to quiet down, to be less, to shrink yourself into something smaller and more palatable. But let me tell you something. You were not born to fit into a box. You were born to shine. Your voice matters. Your dreams are valid. Never feel like you have to dim your light to make others comfortable. Your brilliance is your gift to this world, and no one should ever make you feel like it's too much. Second, never settle for less than you deserve. The world often makes us feel like we need to settle. Settle for a situation, settle for a role, settle for a relationship just to feel validated. But settling is not what you're here for. You deserve the world. You deserve respect, love, and a life that excites you. Never compromise your values, your dreams, or your self-respect for anyone or anything. You are worthy of the best, and you have the power to create that for yourself. Never apologize for your emotion. We've been conditioned to believe that expressing emotions makes us weak. But emotions are our strength. They are the very essence of what makes us human. We are allowed to feel deeply, to express our joy, our anger, our sadness, and our passion. Never apologize for being human. Embrace every part of yourself and wear your emotions like a badge of honor, because they show the depth and richness of who you are. 4, never let fear stop you. Fear will come. It will knock on your door, whispering doubts, telling you that you're not good enough or that you're not capable. But here's the truth. Fear is not your enemy, it's your signal. It's a sign that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, and that's where growth happens. Never let fear control you. Step into it, walk through it, and discover the strength you never knew you had. 5, never lose yourself. In the hustle and bustle of life, it's easy to get caught up in trying to please others or to lose sight of who we are. But remember, the moment you lose yourself, you lose everything. You are the foundation of your life. Know who you are, know what you stand for, and never let anyone take that away from you. You are enough just as you are. Let's explain these things. From the moment we are born, society begins to shape our identities. As we grow, we start to absorb the expectations, the ideals, and the limitations that the world places on us. One of the most damaging ideas society tends to instill is that we should be humble, modest, and small in order to make others feel comfortable. This idea teaches us to dim our light, to hide our brilliance so we don't shine too brightly. But the truth is, every one of us has an inherent light, a fire within us that deserves to be seen and felt. When we dim that light, we are doing a disservice to ourselves and the world around us. Dimming your light doesn't only mean physically shrinking yourself. It's the emotional and psychological aspects as well. The moments when you hesitate to speak your truth because you're worried about how it will be received. It's when you hold back your talents, your ideas, or your dreams because you fear that others might feel threatened or uncomfortable. But why should we hold back? Why should we shrink ourselves to fit into a world that is constantly telling us to be less than what we are? You were not born to fit into the narrow spaces that others have carved out for you. You were born to break free from those constraints, to step into your own power, and to create the life you truly desire. But this requires you to be unapologetically yourself, to embrace the fullness of who you are, and to never shrink or diminish your light for the sake of others. When you step into your true power, you are giving others permission to do the same. Think about the women throughout history who have led revolutions, who have broken barriers, and who have challenged the status quo. They did not get to where they are by dimming their light. They stood tall, proud of who they were and what they represented. They didn't hide their brilliance. They shared it with the world. And in doing so, they inspired countless others to do the same. However, the fear of standing out often holds us back. We are conditioned to believe that being too loud, too assertive, too confident, or too outspoken is somehow wrong. That somehow, if we express our true selves, we are being too much. But here's the thing. There is no such thing as being too much. The only thing that exists is being exactly who you are meant to be. The world needs your voice. The world needs your perspective. The world needs your brilliance. When you withhold that, you are not just limiting your own potential, you're depriving the world of the unique gifts that only you can bring, whether it's through art, innovation, leadership, or simply by being an example of strength. You have the ability to make an impact. But this requires you to be visible, to show up fully as yourself, and to let your light shine brightly without hesitation. The process of allowing yourself to shine is not always easy. There will be times when you will encounter resistance, both from others and from within yourself. There will be voices, both external and internal, that try to convince you that you are too much. They might tell you that you should be quieter, softer, more subdued. But remember this, these voices are not the truth. They are the echoes of a society that is afraid of women who are confident and unapologetically powerful. You see, when you start to shine, it challenges the status quo. It forces people to confront their own insecurities, their own doubts, and their own fears. And rather than face those uncomfortable feelings, some will try to convince you to dim your light so they can feel better about themselves. But you must not give in to this pressure. Instead, use it as motivation to shine even brighter. You have the right to exist in the world fully, authentically, and unapologetically. It's important to realize that shining doesn't necessarily mean being the loudest or the most visible. Sometimes shining is about being true to yourself in the quietest moments. It's about standing firm in your beliefs, even when no one else understands. It's about pursuing your passions, regardless of whether others believe in your potential. Shining can look different for each of us, but it always comes from the same place, a deep understanding of your own worth, and a commitment to honoring that worth in everything you do. Another aspect of dimming your light is the tendency to downplay your accomplishments. Many women, especially in professional or competitive settings, tend to minimize their achievements, often out of fear of appearing arrogant or too self-assured. We've been taught to deflect compliments and to downplay our success because somehow that makes us more likable. But here's the truth. Downplaying your accomplishments is a form of self-sabotage. It's a way of telling yourself that your achievements aren't worthy of celebration. It's denying the hard work and effort you've put in to get where you are. When you achieve something, celebrate it. Own it. Be proud of it. By doing so, you show others that it's okay to be proud of their own achievements too. You also inspire others to embrace their successes rather than minimize them. The more we allow ourselves to shine, the more we give others the permission to do the same. There's also the fear of being misunderstood. Some people might see your confidence and brilliance as a threat. They might try to undermine you, criticize you, or even try to make you feel guilty for shining. But remember, their perceptions are not your responsibility. What they think of you is none of your business. What matters is how you see yourself and how you choose to show up in the world. Do not let anyone's insecurity dictate how brightly you shine. When we look at the women who have made lasting impacts on this world, we see that their light was not dimmed by the opinions or expectations of others. These women faced adversity, criticism, and opposition, yet they persisted in shining because they knew their worth. and understood that their light was not for others to control. We need to adopt this mindset. We need to understand that we don't need anyone's permission to be who we are. We are allowed to occupy space, to express ourselves, and to pursue our dreams without asking for validation or approval. We are allowed to be loud, bold, unapologetic, and fully present in the world. It's also important to note that when you shine, you do not need to diminish others in the process. Shining your light doesn't mean taking away from someone else's. In fact, when you allow yourself to shine, you empower others to do the same. There is no competition when we are all shining together. There is no need for comparison. Each of us has a unique brilliance that deserves to be seen, and there is enough space in this world for all of us to shine. In order to truly embrace your light, you need to let go of the fear of judgment. Let go of the idea that you must please everyone. Not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. What matters is that you are living authentically and that you are being true to who you are. Let go of the need for external validation and trust that your light will attract the right people and opportunities into your life. Allowing yourself to shine also requires embracing vulnerability. It's about being willing to be seen even when it feels uncomfortable. It's about being open to the possibility of failure and rejection without allowing that to define your worth. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to be seen for who you truly are. And it is in this space of vulnerability that our true strength emerges. Dimming your light is a form of self-rejection. It's a way of telling yourself that you are not enough, that your voice doesn't matter, or that your dreams are too big. But I'm here to tell you that you are more than enough. Your light is powerful and it deserves to shine in all its glory. Never let anyone or anything make you feel like you should hide it. Instead, step into it with confidence and embrace the power within you. You have the ability to change the world just by being fully unapologetically yourself. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, yet it often holds a paralyzing grip on our lives. It shows up in many forms: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. It can be so overwhelming that it prevents us from pursuing our dreams, stepping outside of our comfort zones, and embracing opportunities that could lead to growth and fulfillment. But here's the truth: fear does not have to control you. Fear is not your enemy, it is a signal. It's a signal that you're about to step into something new, something challenging, and something meaningful. The key to overcoming fear is not to eliminate it, but to learn how to navigate it and use it as a force for growth. Fear has the ability to stop us in our tracks, but it can also be a powerful motivator. It is often in those moments of fear that we are on the brink of transformation. When you are afraid of something, it often means you are on the cusp of something big. It means you are stepping outside your comfort zone and into a space where growth happens. The fear that you feel is simply the uncertainty of venturing into the unknown. It's the mind's way of telling you that you are pushing boundaries and that something new and unfamiliar is waiting for you on the other side. When we let fear dictate our decisions, we limit ourselves. We allow it to convince us that we are not capable, that we are not good enough, or that we are not worthy of success. This is a lie. Fear, when acknowledged and understood, can become a tool for empowerment. It is a sign that you are challenging yourself, taking risks, and doing something that matters. In those moments of fear, it's essential to recognize that you are growing and evolving. You are breaking free from the confines of what you know and stepping into a space where new opportunities are waiting for you. The first step in using fear to your advantage is to acknowledge it. Pretending that fear doesn't exist or trying to suppress it only gives it more power. It's okay to feel afraid. It's okay to be unsure. In fact, those feelings are part of the process. By acknowledging your fear, you take away its power to control you. You allow yourself to feel the fear, but you do not let it dictate your actions. The moment you face fear head on, you start to dismantle it, piece by piece. Once you acknowledge your fear, it's important to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing fear as something to be avoided, begin to view it as a signal that you are growing. Fear is not a sign that you should turn back or give up. It's a sign that you are on the right path. When you feel fear, it means you're pushing your limits and testing your boundaries. Instead of allowing it to paralyze you, use it as fuel to propel yourself forward. The more you embrace fear as a part of the journey, the less power it will have over you. Fear also teaches us valuable lessons. It shows us what we care about, what matters to us, and what we're willing to fight for. When we are afraid of something, it often indicates that we deeply value the outcome. It could be a new career opportunity, a personal relationship, or a creative project. The fear that arises in these situations is a reflection of how much we desire success, growth, or connection. Instead of running from that fear, lean into it. Let it remind you of the importance of what you're about to undertake. Fear can give you the strength to push through obstacles and to stay committed to your goals, even when things get difficult. Another important aspect of overcoming fear is understanding that failure is not the end. In fact, failure is often a necessary part of the process. When we fear failure, we are allowing ourselves to be consumed by the possibility of things not going according to plan. But failure is not a reflection of our worth. It is simply a lesson, a stepping stone towards success. Every failure offers an opportunity for growth, learning, and resilience. When you embrace failure as a natural part of the journey, it becomes much less frightening. It takes away the fear of making mistakes and allows you to take risks with more confidence. It's also essential to understand that fear is often rooted in the unknown. We fear what we don't understand, and the unknown is always a breeding ground for anxiety. But the more we expose ourselves to what we fear, the less intimidating it becomes. The unknown can be a source of excitement rather than dread. The more you step into situations that challenge you, the more you realize that you have the strength and resilience to handle whatever comes your way. Each time you face the unknown, you build your confidence and your capacity for dealing with uncertainty. The process of overcoming fear is not always immediate. It's a journey, and there will be moments when fear feels overwhelming. However, with each step you take, with each small victory, fear loses its hold over you. The more you push through, the more you realize that fear is simply an emotion, not a reality. It's a feeling that can be felt, acknowledged, and moved through. And once you move through it, you will find that the other side is filled with new possibilities and new opportunities. One of the most powerful things you can do is to take action in spite of your fear. Fear often keeps us stuck in a place of indecision, waiting for the perfect moment or the right conditions. But waiting for fear to subside before taking action can leave you paralyzed. The truth is, the perfect moment may never come. It's not about waiting for fear to disappear. It's about taking action despite it. When you take that first step, fear begins to lose its power. As you move forward, you gain momentum, and with each action, fear becomes less and less significant. It's important to remember that fear is not something to be ashamed of. It's a human experience, something we all feel at one point or another. The key is not to avoid fear, but to learn how to navigate it, to use it as a tool for growth and empowerment. When you stop allowing fear to control you, you begin to unlock your true potential. You realize that you are capable of much more than you ever imagined. Fear becomes just another stepping stone in your journey toward greatness. Too often, we find ourselves in relationships or situations where we feel the need to sacrifice our own needs, desires, and values in order to keep the peace or maintain harmony. It's as though we are conditioned to believe that in order to be loved, accepted, or valued, we must put others first, even at the expense of our own happiness. But this mindset is not only unsustainable, it is also damaging. It erodes our sense of self-worth and leaves us with a sense of emptiness. The truth is, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. And learning how to prioritize your own well-being is not selfish, it's necessary for a healthy and fulfilling life. The idea of putting others before ourselves is often presented as an act of love or selflessness. But when done to the detriment of your own needs, it becomes a form of self-neglect. We must understand that self-care and self-love are not selfish acts. They are essential practices that allow us to show up as our best selves in all areas of life. When we fail to take care of ourselves, we drain our energy and emotional reserves, leaving us with little to give to others. This can lead to resentment, burnout, and feelings of being unappreciated. By learning to prioritize ourselves, we not only nourish our own spirits, but we also create the capacity to give and love others from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Self-prioritization starts with recognizing that your needs and desires are valid. It means understanding that your happiness is just as important as anyone else's. Society often places immense pressure on women to be caregivers, nurturers, and people pleasers. We are often taught that our worth is tied to how much we give to others, whether it's through our roles as daughters, mothers, partners, or friends. But when we only focus on the needs of others, we lose sight of our own. We forget that our happiness, peace, and fulfillment matter too. It's crucial to acknowledge that putting yourself first does not mean disregarding the needs of others. It simply means recognizing that your needs deserve attention as well. When we prioritize ourselves, we can love and care for others in a healthier and more sustainable way. Imagine trying to pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. By taking time to nurture yourself to meet your own needs and to honor your desires, you ensure that you have the strength, energy, and love to share with others without feeling depleted or resentful. There is also a misconception that prioritizing ourselves makes us selfish or uncaring. But the reality is that prioritizing your own well-being actually makes you more compassionate. When you take the time to care for your emotional, physical, and mental health, you become better equipped to empathize with others. You begin to recognize the importance of balance and boundaries, and you understand that self-care is a necessary part of being able to show up fully for those you love. You cannot truly help or love others if you're not in a healthy place yourself. Therefore, prioritizing yourself is an act of love, not only toward yourself, but toward everyone in your life. It's also important to set boundaries. Boundaries are not about keeping others out. They are about protecting your energy, your time, and your emotional well-being. Setting boundaries allows you to maintain a sense of control over your life, ensuring that your needs are being met while still being there for others. This might mean saying no when you are overwhelmed, limiting the time spent with toxic people, or choosing to focus on your own goals and dreams rather than constantly putting others' expectations before your own. Boundaries are not selfish. They are a form of self-respect. Without them, you risk becoming overwhelmed, burnt out, and resentful, which ultimately undermines the very relationships you are trying to nurture. Putting yourself first also means acknowledging that you are deserving of happiness and success. So often, women are taught to be humble, to downplay their achievements, and to avoid appearing too ambitious or self-serving. We are conditioned to think that if we pursue our dreams or take time for ourselves, we are being selfish or inconsiderate. But this is a lie. You have the right to pursue your passions, to seek fulfillment, and to to create a life that aligns with your values and desires. Your success does not take away from anyone else's. It adds to the richness of the world around you. When you prioritize your own happiness, you inspire others to do the same. You show them that it's possible to honor yourself while still being compassionate and loving toward others. The fear of being labeled as selfish or uncaring often holds us back from prioritizing our needs. But we must release that fear. True selfishness is not about taking care of yourself. It's about disregarding the needs of others and only focusing on yourself at the expense of those around you. Prioritizing your own well-being allows you to be more present, more generous, and more loving. It allows you to create a balanced life where you can both give and receive in a way that nurtures you and others. Self-prioritization also means learning to listen to your body and mind. When you feel exhausted, anxious, or burnt out, it is a signal that you need to slow down and take care of yourself. It might mean taking a break, seeking help, or simply saying no to commitments that drain your energy. Ignoring these signs can lead to long-term health problems, emotional burnout, and resentment. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's about honoring your body's need for rest, nourishment, and relaxation. By listening to these signals, you show yourself the respect and care that you deserve. When you start prioritizing yourself, you begin to make choices that align with your values. You stop compromising your own beliefs, desires, and dreams for the sake of others. You start to make decisions based on what feels right for you, what brings you peace and joy, rather than what others expect or demand. This leads to a life that is more authentic and fulfilling, because you are living in alignment with your true self. We live in a world where we are constantly told to compromise, to settle, and to accept less than we deserve. Whether it's in our relationships, our careers, or our personal aspirations, there is this underlying message that tells us that settling is a way of life. But let's face the truth. Settling is not living. It's merely existing. And as women, we have the power, the strength, and the right to demand more for ourselves. We deserve not just the bare minimum, but all the greatness that life has to offer. When you settle for less than you deserve, you are sending a message to yourself that you don't value your own worth. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you have to accept what comes your way, that you should be grateful for whatever scraps are handed to you. But this is not gratitude. It's self-neglect. You are not doing yourself any favors by lowering your standards. In fact, when you settle, you rob yourself of the opportunity to experience the life you truly desire. You limit your potential, your happiness, and your fulfillment. Think about the times when you've settled in the past. It could be in a relationship where you knew deep down that you deserved more, yet you stayed because you were afraid of being alone. It could be in a job that didn't align with your passion, but you stayed because it was safe and comfortable. It could be in friendships that drained you, but you kept them out of a sense of obligation or fear of rejection. These moments of settling are not a reflection of your worth. They are simply a result of fear, insecurity, or a lack of awareness of what you truly deserve. It's important to recognize that settling is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of the beliefs you hold about yourself and what you think you're worth. If you believe you are not worthy of the best, then you will settle for whatever comes your way. But if you truly understand your worth, you will no longer tolerate less than you deserve. You will no longer accept situations, people, or experiences that do not honor your true potential. The process of not settling starts with self-awareness. You need to understand what you truly want and what you truly deserve. It's about defining your values, your boundaries, and your goals. When you know what you stand for, when you know what aligns with your values, it becomes easier to recognize when something isn't right for you. And once you recognize that something isn't right for you, you must have the courage to walk away from it. Walking away from situations, people, or opportunities that don't serve you is an act of self-love and respect. It is a recognition that you deserve more and that you are willing to do whatever it takes to create a life that honors your worth. This doesn't mean that you will never face challenges or that you will always get everything you want. Life is not about perfection. It's about growth, learning, and alignment. But when you stop settling, you start attracting what you truly desire. The more you honor your worth and refuse to accept less, the more you will invite opportunities that align with your true potential. It's about creating a life that matches the vision you have for yourself, not the one that others have for you or the one that society has defined for you. It's also important to remember that not settling is not about being demanding or unreasonable. It's about knowing what you are worth and holding yourself to a standard of excellence. When you refuse to settle, you are setting a powerful example for others, especially for the younger generation of women who may look up to you. By refusing to settle, you are teaching others to do the same. You are showing them that they are worthy of more, that they do not need to accept mediocrity in any area of their lives. The fear of being alone or the fear of not having enough can often make us settle for situations or relationships that don't serve us. We are conditioned to believe that we need to have it all together, that we need to fit into certain molds, and that we should be in a relationship, a job, or a social circle to feel complete. But this mindset is toxic. It keeps us stuck in cycles of dissatisfaction, preventing us from truly stepping into our power. We need to understand that we are whole and complete as individuals. We do not need anyone or anything to validate our worth. When we begin to love ourselves and recognize our own value, we no longer feel the need to settle for anything less than the best. We realize that being alone doesn't mean we are incomplete. It means we are whole and wholeheartedly deserving of the right circumstances, the right people, and the right opportunities. Refusing to settle also requires patience. We live in a world of instant gratification where we are constantly seeking quick fixes and immediate results. But real transformation takes time. When you are committed to not settling, you may experience periods of waiting, uncertainty, and even frustration. But trust the process. Understand that everything you want is on its way to you, but it may take time for the universe to align with your desires. And in the meantime, continue to work on yourself, continue to grow, and continue to show up as the highest version of yourself. The right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances will come when you stop settling for less and start demanding more from life. You also need to be mindful of the company you keep. The people around you can either uplift you or hold you back. Surround yourself with those who support your growth, who encourage you to reach for the stars, and who remind you of your worth. If you are surrounded by people who constantly tell you to lower your expectations or make you feel like you're asking for too much, it may be time to reevaluate those relationships. You deserve to be in the company of people who recognize your potential and push you to be the best version of yourself. Refusing to settle doesn't mean you will never face difficulties or challenges. Life will still test you, but when you refuse to settle, you have the confidence to handle those challenges with grace, knowing that you are worthy of success, love, and happiness. You no longer fear the unknown or the possibility of failure, because you understand that every setback is simply a stepping stone toward your greater purpose. When you stop settling for less than you deserve, you begin to experience a life of fulfillment, joy, and purpose. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your true self. You become magnetic, not because you're trying to be, but because you're living authentically, with integrity, and with the unwavering belief that you deserve the very best that life has to offer. Throughout history, women have been taught to suppress their emotions, to hide their vulnerabilities, and to act as though they are unaffected by the challenges they face. The narrative has often been that to be strong, women must be stoic, unemotional, and detached from their feelings. But in reality, emotions are not weaknesses. They are our greatest strength. They are the markers of our humanity, our passions, our desires, and our deepest truths. Women, like all human beings, are entitled to experience the full range of emotions without apologizing for them. Too often, women are socialized to believe that their feelings make them too much, too sensitive, or overreacting. This shame around emotions can be especially pronounced in environments where women are expected to perform or excel in ways that leave little room for the expression of vulnerability. In many ways, this leads to emotional suppression, as women hold in their feelings for fear of being judged or criticized. But hiding your emotions is not only harmful to your mental and emotional well-being, it is also a form of self-rejection. When you apologize for how you feel, you are telling yourself that your feelings are not valid or worth expressing. The truth is, emotions are what make us who we are. They guide us, they teach us, and they push us toward growth. Happiness, sadness, anger, fear, love. Each emotion serves a unique purpose and helps us navigate our lives in a more authentic way. When we feel sadness, it often signals the need for healing or a shift in our circumstances. When we feel joy, it is a reminder of the things that align with our deepest values and desires. Anger can be a powerful force for change, igniting a fire to stand up for ourselves and others. Fear might indicate a need for caution, or it can be the call to step outside our comfort zones. Every emotion has a place in our lives, and each one deserves to be acknowledged, understood, and expressed without shame. When you suppress your emotions, you are essentially denying an important part of your experience. You are not allowing yourself to process and understand what you are going through, which can lead to emotional exhaustion, anxiety, and even physical ailments. The longer we push down our emotions, the more difficult it becomes to truly heal and move forward. Emotional repression often manifests as stress, frustration, or numbness. When we suppress our feelings, we are also denying ourselves the chance to learn from them, to grow from them, and to make necessary changes in our lives. It's time we let go of the idea that being emotionally expressive is a flaw or a weakness. It's time we stop apologizing for having feelings and instead embrace them. Emotions are natural, they are part of the human experience, and they are something to be honored, not hidden. When we accept and express our emotions authentically, we allow ourselves to live fully, to experience life in its entirety, and to grow into the people we are meant to be. Expressing our emotions can also bring a sense of release and liberation. It allows us to release pent-up tension and stress, to communicate our needs and boundaries, and to form deeper connections with others. When we are honest about how we feel, we give others the permission to do the same. Vulnerability can create spaces of empathy, understanding, and shared humanity. It allows us to be seen and heard for who we truly are. When we suppress our feelings, we close ourselves off from the world around us. But when we open up, we create opportunities for connection and healing. There is also immense power in allowing yourself to feel anger. Society often teaches women to be passive and accommodating, to be the ones who forgive, who let things slide, and who put others' needs ahead of their own. While compassion and forgiveness are important virtues, they should never come at the expense of your self-respect or your boundaries. Anger can be a healthy response to injustice, mistreatment, or disrespect. It is a signal that something needs to change, whether that change is external or internal. When we honor our anger, we can use it to fuel positive action and advocate for ourselves and others. Anger is not a sign of weakness. It is a catalyst for transformation. Similarly, fear is often viewed as something to be avoided or defeated. Yet fear is an emotion that can be instructive and motivating. It signals that something is important or that we are stepping into unfamiliar territory. Fear doesn't have to paralyze us. It can empower us to take risks, make decisions, and pursue new opportunities. It's natural to be afraid, but it's also important to remember that fear doesn't define us. We are more than our fears, and we have the strength to push through them. By acknowledging our fear and allowing ourselves to feel it, we can transform it into courage and resilience. As women, we are taught to put others before ourselves, to nurture, to care, and to be selfless. While this is an admirable trait, it is essential that we first care for ourselves and honor our own emotional needs. We cannot pour from an empty cup. We cannot love others fully if we do not love ourselves first. It's not selfish to take the time to process your emotions, to express them, and to prioritize your own well-being. In fact, it's the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for those around you. When you take care of your emotional health, you show others how to do the same. You model emotional self-care and teach others that it's okay to be vulnerable, to express feelings, and to take care of their own hearts.